We're joined for more on this subject by Rajesh Panjwani. He's CLSA's head of Asia-Pacific Power Research. He recently spoke on this subject in Beijing and been going around to some of these electricity generation sites as well, haven't you? And what have you found?
We have seen that as far as hydropower is impacting overall power generation in China. But the biggest issue actually is also on the thermal power side. If you look at April, the power generation was down 6% month on month. So because of the high coal prices, some of these coal-fired generators are not generating at the maximum utilization hours. And that is one of the reasons which is contributing to these current power shortages.
So are you seeing some of these power companies running low on cash, struggling to pay their bills as well?
Yeah, we have a team called CRR, China Reality Research, which does research on ground in China. And they found out that some of the local governments had in fact provided cash to some of the IPPs to keep on running, because these IPPs have very high debt. And for the last few years, they have not made any profits. And
IPPs, for the layperson?
Yeah, this is independent power producers, basically the power generators in China.
Okay.
So they have been making very low profit margins, their debt levels are pretty high, and they are under a cash crunch in most cases.
So what do? They
have been waiting for the government to hike tariffs, and the government has already done so in 16 provinces in China, but more needs to be done because coal prices on one hand have been continuing to go up. On the other hand, the government has not hiked the tariffs commensurately. So if some IPPs, if they buy coal at the spot market and generate power, they're actually losing money in some cases. So it makes more sense for them to shut down power plants than start generating power.
Right, but I mean, we've had also a drought in parts of China. If we've got torrential rain, will that solve these problems?
If hydropower plant operations improve in China, that should definitely help. Because we are right now in April. April is not the peak month for power demand. May now, sorry. April and May are not the peak months of power demand. If you look at June and July and August, the power demand is much higher. But hydropower generation is also higher. So if hydropower generation actually normalizes going forward, we should see these shortages ease.
What about load shedding, that sort of thing as well, where you only get electricity for certain times of the day?
We have heard that especially in Zhejiang, Jiangsu and Chongqing, these provinces, there have been load shedding. In some places, a few hours a day, in some cases, a few days a week. So there is load shedding going on, especially for industrial customers in many regions in China.
Now, have you been studying how this will affect the economy? Have you seen what it'll do in terms of economic growth?
It could have some impact on the economic growth, but on the positive side, there's also silver lining. This also provides government an opportunity to weed out some of the inefficient industries in China. If you look at per unit of GDP, the industrial power consumption in China is way higher than most other economies, and there is an opportunity there to restructure the economy as well.
Do they become, I mean, they have to become more efficient, effectively, and use the resources at their disposal more effectively?
Exactly, and that's what some provinces are trying to do. So if you look at Zhejiang, which is worst hurt by these power shortages, they have already announced capacity cuts for a number of inefficient companies. Second, what they have done is, if you consume more power than the standard rate, you have to pay a penal tariff as well. So we think these measures will be implemented in other provinces also, and over a period of time, China would become more energy efficient.
Okay, what does the future hold in terms of power generation? Is it doing enough?
Power generation, the capacity addition has been going down over the last few years, and one of the reasons is that the IPPs are not making enough money. So going forward, the first thing is that you need to hike tariffs so that the IPPs make enough profits before they can order and...
Again, that feeds into the whole inflation situation as well, and the government would be loath to be doing that.
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why government has held back. But beyond a point, the government wouldn't have much options. They have already taken price hikes in 16 provinces, and we expect more going forward.
Rajesh, thanks so much for joining us.